Hi, Red Fred here. How you doing? It's been a while since I've done a podcast, but I'm doing one now. I want to talk about a video that I watched, and it's about this guy who believes that we are living in a artificial reality. That the reason why we have a lack of perception about what's going on around us, and that we have limitations, is because within the program that's been created, we have limitations. And we can't go past those limitations, and that's perception and all kinds of other things. Oh, yeah, I grew a beard. You might not have noticed that before, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. I'm just trying it. So I find it interesting that some people will absolutely believe that they're living in a artificial reality and accept that and live their life believing that that's the situation. When, the reality of the situation is that, yeah, you have limitations. We weren't originally built with limitations, but we have walked ourselves into limitations because of sin, because of our unbelief. Okay, could I accept the fact that I live in a created reality that's who knows who they think created this reality? I could guess, I could get that. I can understand how you would feel that way, because we are limited in our way of being able, even like the percentage of what is able to be seen and not being seen by us is so dramatic that if you saw everything that could be seen in all the different layers and all the different colors and everything, you would probably go insane, because there's way too much information to pull in. And it's because our mind has de-evolved to the point where it can only handle so much information. But that's not always been the case. If you think about it, like, when Adam and Eve walked in the garden with God, they were doing amazing things. They were naming every single animal, every single plant. And it's not like, they were like, oh, God is, no, they were naming them. God was there with them and said, okay, that's the name of that thing. Okay. They were naming them. So they had the ability to live healthy, strong. And if you think about it, every once in a while, somebody will have what we call an anomaly. They'll have like a mind that's really good for mathematics, where they can calculate all these complex numbers in their heads in seconds. And some people who are autistic can look at a pile of whatever matchsticks or toothpicks on the ground and be able to instantly calculate how many are on the ground, and they're accurate. There are people who have eidetic memories, or even photographic memories, that can remember everything they either hear or they see. They can look at a book every page, and then afterwards they can see that same book in their minds and read it from the memory that they have of the photograph that their mind took of that. Uh, is that anomalies, or is that people who have access to something that is already there, that we have the ability to use, but we have unbelief that causes us not to walk in those things? There are people who are naturally fit and healthy. They don't have to do much, but when they do a little bit, they get very healthy, very strong. People can run for long distances. People can just lift heavy weights. Who's to say that we couldn't do all those things in the past? And we slowly lost that ability because we want to be in control of our lives. And that's becoming a generational curse. So the interesting thing is, and I mentioned this before, that, when Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, and they sinned by consuming the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And that's what got them kicked out, because they were told not to eat that tree. Well, why would they be told not to eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Isn't it a good idea for us to know the difference between good and evil? Maybe the perception that we have about knowing about good and evil is wrong. Maybe knowing something makes us feel like we no longer need something else. So, if we believe that we know what's good and what's evil, what's right and what's wrong, then we don't need to check with a God that knows what's right, what's wrong, what's good, and what's evil. We can make that determination on our own. Well, maybe that's the point. We're not supposed to be able to say that I know what's right, what's wrong. We're supposed to be at a place where we say, Lord, you tell me what's right, what's wrong. And we have a relationship. We have a constant and never-ending relationship with God. And he can guide us through our lives. And so we're walking down and we can make a decision. Do I turn right or do I turn left? You don't look around and go, okay, based on what I can see around here, it looks like that environment over on the right would be better than that environment over on the left, so I'm going to go right. And we make that determination because we believe we can tell what's right, what's wrong, what we should do or not do. The reality is, God is saying, no, you don't know all the details of what you're deciding. You are making a determination to go right based on what you can visually see. What you don't know is there's a person down on the right that in his heart wants to hurt you and steal from you. So if you were to ask me, I would tell you to go left, even though left doesn't look like the right way to go, because left is safer for you. But you don't know all the details. You don't know everything. God knows everything, everywhere, with everybody, at every time, all the time, forever. There's nothing that God doesn't know. So when God gives you the decision to be made and God says, do this, it's not because he wants you to go through the harder stuff. He's making you the person that you need to be. It's interesting that you think about this. Us as human beings, what helps us grow stronger? Stress. We put stress on our body and we get bigger muscles. We get stronger. We put stress on our body by working out really hard, getting our heart to pump and pump and pump. The heart gets stronger and it can do more things. You know, we want to heal some parts of our body that are having issues like arthritis or whatever the situation is. Well, the world will tell you the best thing to do is to take this medication. So we take medication and yes, the pain goes away, but the arthritis is not gone. So then we have to say, oh, maybe I don't know what's right. Maybe the doctors don't know what's right. Maybe they're only coping with what they can figure out based on not checking with God to see what God says. So for me, I said, Lord, okay, I'm having problems in my hands and my knees and I'm having arthritis. What do I do to fix that? Is it something that I'm eating? Is it something that I shouldn't be eating? And what God told me was to fast 3 days, 3 weeks in a row. So I fast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the following week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the following week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. At the end of Wednesday, on the third week, all my arthritis went away. My pain was gone. I didn't have sore knees, didn't have sore hands. I'm like, okay, so why did that work? Why did that work? Well, it works because God knows everything. And God knows what's happening when you... So I, as somebody who now says afterwards, okay, let me try to figure out, let me do some research to see if there's scientists that have been studying fasting, studying healing, studying all kinds of things. Is there anybody out there? So there was quite a few people who did some studying and research on fasting. And you know what they found out? They found out that on the third day of a fast, your body automatically releases stem cells. Why does it release stem cells? From what they can figure out is that your body is not having any food. The energy in your body is being used to cope with pain from your hands, from your back, from your knees, whatever the situation is. Maybe you might have a more serious issue. Your body is taking the energy it needs to sustain itself, to break the fat down in your body in order to live longer because you're fasting. So what it does is it decides that you need to get things healed in your body so you can be more efficient with your energy. So it sends out stem cells to repair things that are on your body that you can then get rid of. And so you no longer have those issues. You don't have the pain that's causing your energy to be pulled away from you. You don't have the tumor that's inside that's causing your body. It's repairing things so you're more efficient without your food consumption coming in. So this is how I figured out that possibly why it happened. I don't know. All I know is this is what God told me to do. This is what I did. And even though I haven't fasted for 3 days in a while, I still don't have arthritis. I still have, my knees are good and my everything, I'm not having any issues. Do I fast? Yes, I fast every day. I have intermittent fasting. I have an eating window. I eat between 4 and 8 o'clock every day, and that's the only time I eat. I don't eat after that. I don't eat before that. And I've been losing a lot of weight because of that, and I'm getting in better shape because of that. I feel energetic because of that. I feel good because of that. Why does our body work well when we stress it out by not eating? That's the way God designed us. We stress it out by working out. We move our muscles. They tear. They become stronger. They get worn out. They become stronger. Our heart gets used. It becomes stronger. We become healthier. We take deep breaths, and all of a sudden our lungs have the capacity to have more air in them. We lift heavy things, and we can lift heavier and heavier things. Stress is important. You become a good person because you've gone through hardship in your life, and you know that the difficult things in life cause you to have character. Now, we know what's right and what's wrong. So, based on that decision, we say, an example, we meet somebody, say for you're wealthy, you meet somebody, that person's struggling financially. They ask you for some money. Maybe they ask you for $100. For you, $100, no big deal. No big deal whatsoever. You go to give that to the person. You give it to that person. You help that person, correct? Based on your understanding of what's right and what's wrong, that person's in need, so I help them. I'm doing what's right. Are you? Are you really? I've had times in my life where I've needed finances. I need finances right now. I am very limited in my finances. But you know what I've learned by not getting the finances when I wanted the finances? Is that I can live without that money. I can thrive without that money. Now, can I do all the things that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing for God? No. Like, I believe that I'm supposed to be going to the Philippines by the end of the month, but I don't have the money to do that. And that's okay. I get that. I am learning what it is to trust God 100%. Not people. So say to that person, you give them $100. You say that's right. But if you would have stopped first and said to that person, I understand you're in need. I need time to pray. I need the time to go spend with God and see what God says about that situation. So what if you go and you sit down and you pray, Lord, this person is asking me for $100. Should I give it to them? And you get a check in your spirit, meaning you feel like it's a no. You might go, well, Lord, why wouldn't you want me to help this person? Obviously, we're supposed to help people. We're supposed to bless them. That's what we're supposed to do. Yeah. But what if God is working on that person's heart? and learning and teaching them how to depend on Him and not depend on other people. What if they are 2 weeks away from something miraculously happening without them reaching out to somebody? What if God has in somebody's heart to come and bring them $1,000 and say, God said that you needed this money, here you go, without them asking for it, without them reaching out for it, without them begging for it? God had a plan. Now you have bypassed that opportunity that God was bringing to them to have a better relationship with Him by showing that He hears and He's providing. Now they believe that in order to get, they have to ask. Not God, but people. So was that right or was that wrong to give them $100? In those circumstances, when you know all the details, giving them $100 is wrong, because the blessing of them knowing that God is there for them and heals them and hears them and is ready for them and willing to them, and they have to reach out to God because they feel like they're stuck and they have to deal and get a relationship with God so they can hear what to do. Far more important than $100. So that whole thing, give a man a fish or teach him how to fish. Well, maybe you need to teach him how to seek the Lord and ask God what you should do. Maybe they have things that they're spending money on that they shouldn't be. You don't know. You don't know all the details. God does. So we're supposed to check with God with all things. So this is what I find interesting. Do we have a perception issue? Yes. Can we see things the way... Now, these people talk about the fact that there is a creator of this artificial environment. Now, I don't know if they're saying it's aliens or something else, or even if they believe God, in God, and they think God has created this artificial reality that we're living in, that that has glitches in the matrix and all kinds of other things. I don't know if they think that way. It didn't sound like that's what they were thinking. It sounded like they were thinking that it was maybe beings that were beyond them. Which, what else is God than a being that's way beyond us? And that's what He is. He's a being. He's a spiritual being that's way beyond us. He sees all, knows all, understands all, created all, is in everything, everywhere. We are limited in comparisons to that. Yes, 100%. But what is the biggest fear, and I use this word specifically, that I think that could come out of the fact that you might believe you lived in a augmented reality, an artificial reality, that you might think that things aren't real. So what's the problem with killing your babies? What's the problem with raping people? It's like Grand Theft Auto for, in real life. You could do whatever you want. You could break whatever law you want. You can do whatever you want. There's no consequences. That's the danger of believing that there's an artificial reality that you're living in and nothing is real. You're just a program. You're just a avatar within that. It's not the case. You are real. You may be limited in comparisons to God. Hallelujah, yes you are. If you weren't, man, this world would be a messed up place. Too many people have too many things in their minds that are corrupted and confused. Is there something that's beyond us? Yes. Do we have access to it? Yes. It's called prayer. It's called spending time with God, being still and knowing He is God. That's how we have access to that information. You don't need to know everything. You need to know one thing. You need to know there is a God. He loves you, and you can talk to him and ask him questions, and he will guide you through life. He will give you the insight on what not to do and what to do. So what do you do in that situation? You accept that there is a God. He sent his son to die for you. Why? Why did he send his son to die for you? Because we walk with a sin nature. Sin and the holiness of God can't be together. They are diametrically opposed. It's like two magnets pushing away each other. You cannot connect with God and have a sin nature. You cannot. You will only be in that world where sin is all you understand. Can you do good? Yes, you can still do good and have a sin nature. Yes, you can. Lots of good people do good things, but it doesn't mean they have a holy nature. They still have a sin nature. You need to exchange your sin nature for a holy nature so you can have connection with God, so you can have access to what he has for you. It's not just that you're going to go to heaven. Yes, that's a big thing. You'll spend eternity with God in a wonderful place. That's a fantastic thing. That's wonderful. But that's not the end and be all of the whole situation. You get to live a life here on earth with access to the holy God, with access to ultimate knowledge and understanding. And you can ask God questions in prayer in that time of being still. Sometimes you won't even know what questions you need to ask. So God gave you this wonderful blessing called speaking in tongues, which is confusion to everybody who hears it, including devils and Satan and all that stuff, and demons, all those things. They can understand it. Only God can understand it. And then only God can give some people the translation of that. But you don't need to know the translation in order to use it, because what you're doing is when you speak in tongues and being yielded you yield to the Holy Spirit by speaking in tongues, you're praying the perfect prayer for you. You're asking the question that you don't even know to ask. You are casting out of you the things that you don't even know that you have in you that you need to get rid of. You are what they call edifying. You are taking that stuff that's in you that comes to the surface so God can then remove it and get it out of you, because you don't need to have that in your heart, because it's causing you to be angry for no reason. It's causing you to be frustrated for no reason. It's causing you to be overweight for no reason. It's causing you to do all kinds of things. There's generational curses. There's all kinds of stuff that's spiritually there that you have no clue about, and you cannot pray that out because you don't even know that it's there. But you pray in tongues, all of a sudden that stuff comes to the surface and gets rid of. It's the same thing with fasting. When you fast, the stuff that's been stored into your fat that's protected, like you take in toxins, fat surrounds the toxin and stores it in your body. And until you fast, it stays in your body, which could cause lots of problems. All kinds of sicknesses and diseases are caused by the toxins that are stored in our body. But you fast, it breaks down that fat. That fat that breaks down holds the toxins and then releases it through your breath out into the air, and you get it out of your system. Well, that's the same thing that happens when you pray in tongues. It's the same thing you have when you be still and know that he is God, and you be quiet and you be still and you listen. Do we live in an artificial reality? No. We live in a reality. There's consequences to your actions. There's consequences to your decision. Do you know right from wrong? No. You have a perception of right and wrong based on the limited amount of information that you have within your brain and what you can perceive. But you can't see everything. You can't perceive everything. You don't understand everything. God does. God is the only being in the entire universe that actually knows what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's evil. Why? Because he knows everything. everywhere, at all times, forever. He can guide you in a way that only He can guide you. You can get advice from me, and I can tell you what I think is right. But the reality is, you need to seek God for yourself and ask Him what He says is right for you. I have learned through these lessons that I have learned through my life that I do not know anything. I have a lot of knowledge that I have gained over the years. I know a lot about science and all kinds of other things. And I have one of those memories where if I listen or watch something, it goes in there and it's in there. But I also know no matter how much I know nothing. Wisdom comes from knowing that you know nothing. And then you have to seek God. And when you go to God and you say, Lord, you know everything. What should I do in this situation? What should I say in that situation? Most of the time, He gives us messages in something called the Bible. I have one. I have a few. But I also have one on my phone that I can use on a regular basis, no matter where I am. And that has a lot of wisdom, a lot of understanding. And some things are really basic and simple. Like, a wise man stays silent when a fool speaks. Pretty simple. But what God's saying in that situation is that don't open your mouth and say stupid things. Sometimes it's better just to be quiet. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things will work for your good. Seek ye first. What does that mean? Before you make a decision to do something, go into prayer. Sit still. Be still. Know that He is God, and say, Lord, what do you have me do? Lord, I don't understand this situation. What revelation do I need to get to understand what's going on here? What am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to go? Lord, am I an apostle, a pastor, a teacher, an evangelist? What's my role? God will say something so complicated and so simple that you'll go, what? Like, don't worry about what you're called to be. Do what I asked you to do. You'll become what you need to become. People prophesied, but Lord, people are prophesying that I'm an apostle. You are what I need you to be. If you're in a situation where I need an evangelist, I will use you as an evangelist. If you're in a situation where I need you to be a teacher, you'll be a teacher. If I need you to be a pastor, you'll be a pastor. If I need you to be an apostle, you'll be an apostle. You'll be whatever I need you to be when I need you to be it if you yield to me and allow me to speak through you. So then my job is to get me out of the way and let Him speak. Let Him lay hands on people. Let Him pray for people. Not me. I am a vessel. I have a soul. I have a spirit. I have a destiny. But I am a vessel sent here by God to do God's will, to bless other people. I will be whatever you need me to be when you need me to be it. So I will yield. I know that I know that I know nothing because He knows everything. Okay. I'm a middleman. I am blessed because I yield to the Holy Spirit to go through me to help other people. I don't always help other people by giving them what they want. Sometimes you give them what you need. You know, um, it's an interesting thing with my podcast. Like, I've been doing this for a while now, and I know other people who have podcasts, and they have a lot more subscribers than I do. They got a lot more things that I'm like, Lord, why is that? Why is that the case? Why is there so much more subscribers for other people than for myself? Like, I'm doing good work. I'm doing what you ask me to do. I am preaching what you're asking me to preach. I'm sharing with people what you want me to share with people. Wouldn't you bless that and have it grow? So then financially I can maybe have some money coming in. God doesn't care about the finances. If he needs me to have something, he's going to send it to me. Like, okay. But doesn't he want people to see this? Yeah, he does. Then I got the revelation. Sometimes when things are so important, people avoid it because they know that one day when they have to accept it and walk through it, it's going to be difficult. And they want to hold that off as long as possible. So that's why maybe I don't have as many subscribers. Maybe that's why there's not as many views. But definitely, it's important. So when people start saying down the road, because apparently a lot of scientists are getting into this whole, we live in a artificial reality. We understand that in some ways they're correct. They are assessing what they see correctly. Yes, this whole place was created by something bigger than them. Yes, it's called God. Yes, your perception is limited. Yes, because you cannot perceive everything the way God does. You don't see everything. That's correct. Our minds are not physically possible to see all things. You wouldn't be able to contain it anyways. But don't take it in a way that you understand or you feel like there's no responsibility. Because one day, all of us will die. And you do not want to go to hell. There is